Irene here. I wanted to recap on the fasting because I wasn't here last Sunday. I started a 22-day fast, and I want to give you more information because I had to break it 7 days into the fast. And I did break it with a salad. Some people break it with a fruit. I just had a craving for a salad. And the reason I broke it was because my blood pressure went down to 90/65, and I could feel the detox was very, very strong. Unfortunately, when I had this operation, they gave me a lot of narcotics while I was under. Who would have known? And so I got so many different things that were given to me during the operation that there was a lot of detoxing going on. And you really have to have your body in a space of a lot of green juices and raw foods before you go and detox like I did. I've done a 40-day fast before, and I was fine because I was doing all my greens. My body had enough nutrition. So right now, during these months, that especially when I had to depend on other people and I didn't have my greens and I was eating some cooked foods, I didn't have the reserves that I really needed to do 22 days. But I listened to my body. You know, the 7th day, I was feeling this malaise all over, and I wasn't feeling quite right. And by my blood pressure going over 90/65, which really still not a bad blood pressure, but I made that decision. So I want you all to understand that if you are going to do something like this, I just didn't realize that the healing was so intense still going on in me, and so much stuff was given to me because I went ahead and I ordered the paperwork from the hospital, and now I know how much was given to me. So I didn't know that when I took that fast or made that oath to go ahead and do 22 days. But I want to tell you a little bit what happened within those 22 days. I broke out in a rash all over. I was itching. I'm sure that was a detox of all the meds that were given to me and the narcotics. And I did lose 7 pounds. Not that I was looking to lose weight, but when you do a fast, you should really be documenting. I didn't bring my book, I forgot it, but that's okay. I could tell you some of the things that took place. You should be documenting how you feel. The first day, obviously, I was a little bit hungry, and I did feel some dizziness. I felt a little bit of nausea coming on. It was almost like I was back at the hospital, so I was getting a little bit of nausea. And I took my blood pressure, my fat content, my weight, and definitely going inside and feeling, making sure that you're feeling good. The second day into it, that's when I broke out in a rash and I was itching all over, and I knew that was a detox. At that point, as I went into it, my blood pressure was still fine, but I still was getting some dizziness. I was kind of like off balance. I went out to nature in order to heal as I was fasting, and as I progressed into it, one of the days I noticed that my wrist was moving even better. So that helped. It helped the wound. It helped the wrist that is still in its healing mode. It's going to be probably another 4 months before I could get down and do my yoga. Like I love yoga. I went and did it and sitting on a chair, but I'm still healing. So I'm not going to be doing another. Oh, let me finish up. So then I went into my 4th and 5th and 6th. By that time, I was actually feeling pretty good. I wasn't hungry anymore. I had some form of energy. And then what happened in the weekend, excuse me, I did have my grandkids. And so we went to the movies. Remember, I'm an empath. And I was around a lot of people. We went to the stores and everything else. And I think some of the taking, when I'm out in society, it was like, you know, when you're an empath, you take from other people and you get drained. So by that Sunday night, I was drained, and I had to stop the fast. And again, if you're going to stop a fast, most of the time you could do a little bit of orange juice, a fruit bowl. I chose to do a salad, and I was fine with that. And then you just don't overeat. You make sure you never overeat after you've broken a fast and go directly into cooked foods or anything like that. My idea was to do the water fast with the coconut water and the wheatgrass, And then after those 22 days, go into green juices. And after the green juices, I was going straight into my raw foods, which I usually do at all times. So anyways, and I still have cooked foods once in a while, like on the weekends and stuff like that. So I wanted to get back to my regular routine. Within that, you want to do maybe some tapping, and I have mentioned tapping. You could look on the internet, under YouTube, and you could find different ways of tapping. I did some tapping because you do emotionally release, and I did release some emotions, and some things did come through, not just physical, but mentally, emotionally, you also do. And then I also did some breathing. Breathing is very important as well when you're doing your fasting. So that's the recap on the fasting that was supposed to be done in 22 days. I'm going to be doing another fast, but I'm going to wait. I got 3 more weeks of therapy. When I'm done with that, I'm going to do start on my greens again, and then I will take that challenge again to fast. And I know there was one person that wanted to do the fast with me. I hope that you're doing well on the fast. If you have any questions, just send me a question. I'll certainly answer you on that. So today what I want to talk about, and this is very important even for when you're fasting and you're releasing emotions, is the difference between imprinting and ego itself. Imprinting from your parents, it's just like animals. They get imprinted. You see the little mother duck with the little ducklings going after her, and they're getting imprinted, and they learn how to fly, and they learn how to do things. So imprinting basically is what you learn from your parents, religion, from society, from people, from teachers, just from the outside environment coming in. That's an imprint. You could also look at it as your mind being a computer, and that is an input. In other words, it's being inputted into your files. And then it becomes an implant, which I call a belief system. So now you got these sets of beliefs that maybe most of them, a lot of them could be judgmental, okay? Because if you have some set of belief that you're very strong on, that's a bias, and then you're going to judge others, which separates you from the other person. So the difference between imprint, now we're going into ego. Ego is the emotion, the energy, the action behind the imprinting, the belief system. It's the emotion, the negative emotion that charges that imprint. So, for instance, and you were brought up to be racist, maybe, and that we need peace in this world, and I still see a lot of separation. If this person, depending their race or their way of life, there's still a lot of that in this world. So if you were raised with some kind of a bias like that, okay, and that's an imprint, that's a belief. So the emotion behind that could be hatred towards that other person because you see yourself separate from the other person. So that's the ego that judges, the false self. That's your mind, the software that has been put in there that could be turned around if you come back to your true self, your heart. Your heart only has beautiful, wonderful, positive emotions. It will always guide you through the universe, source, creator, divinity, light. I like to call it light and love because that's what the creator is. It will always guide you to come from the space here of love and kindness, which helps to break down ego, which is the emotion, the charge behind that imprint. So to recap again, you got imprinting as you go learning from being a toddler all the way up, and that becomes an input, it's being inputted into your mind, which becomes an implant, which now becomes a belief or a bias, which creates the ego, the negative charge, the emotion behind it. And some of the ways to break that is right here. I'm being out in nature, doing your breathing, the circular breathing, doing tapping, meditation, writing, which is a higher form of consciousness. If you feel bad or hatred or something like that, write it down, because by the time you're done writing, it stays on the paper and out of your body. So keep this in mind, because you could always start brick by brick breaking down the ego from those biases. So with a lot of love, remember, we're all one. It's an illusion that there's a separation between you and that other person. No matter what it is, doesn't mean you have to be with a person if they're being negative to you, but you need to love that person and know that they're part of you. And then you learn, believe it or not, your best teachers are almost like your enemies. Those are your best teachers. So I send my love from my heart to you. Like always, I always say we share that love and light. We're all one. And peace to all of you guys, and namaste.